Gonna get into it now. A spoiler-free movie review of The Boys in the Boat. This was a movie that came out in December. We missed it then because there were so many movies coming out in December.
I hadn't finished the book either.
But now it is available for you to rent at home, so we thought now is a perfect time to review it. Kelsey, you take it away with what the movie is about.
All right, the movie is about the men's crew rowing team from the University of Washington going to the 1936 Olympics, their journey there, the results of all of that, and just kind of the tension surrounding the 1936 Olympics, which were held in Berlin right before World War II started. And of course, that was the most fascinating part of the book to me. I'll get into that.
You love World War II.
Okay, here's what I have realized.
Mm-hmm.
World War II is fascinating to me because it wasn't even 100 years ago. And it seems like this very far off historical event, and we have so much knowledge, and there's so many books written about it, and there's so many survivors of the Holocaust and members of like these spy organizations that are writing these books, and they're still alive to tell us the history, and that just blows my mind. Like, there are people still alive that survived the Holocaust. That just it literally blows my mind.
I love the way they incorporated it in this movie. I almost wish that it was a bigger plot point, but I almost feel like if it were to be, it would be an entirely different film.
Yeah, because there was so much more in the book. So I'll just go ahead and say the most interesting part of the book to me was when they get to Berlin for the Olympics and the meticulous detail that Germany put into making sure that their very nasty agenda was hidden. They took down all of the signs that said Jews aren't welcome here. They were building the concentration camps not far from where the Olympics were held, and
Crazy.
no one knew what was to come in the next few years. Like, the sinister underlying, like, Hitler and his team, he had a minister of propaganda. They worked so hard to convince the world that Germany was just trying to rebuild itself after the first war, that they were just a great country, and that he was really leading the charge. And knowing what we know now, it's so fascinating to look back and read about that.
Oh, it's always just like jarring for me to see like a swastika in a movie and to see Hitler represented. I know you have to put it in there because it's history, but I think about the making of the movie process. Somebody has to make those things. Somebody has to dress up like Hitler.
Yeah.
It feels really weird to me.
Getting back to the book, I will say, as always in my opinion, except for where the crawdads sing, the book was better than the movie. I loved the book. There's so much more detail. Obviously, they have to adapt things. I'll do it without giving any spoilers. The movie starts like the beginning of the year in 1936, and they act as if they're just putting together this rowing team. In reality, they'd been rowing together for several years. The book starts in like 1933 when the boys were freshmen. Obviously, you just have to cut some stuff out.
Does the book also focus on one character? Like in this one, it's Joe, who's the main character.
Yes.
Is it? Oh, okay. So it's the same.
Yep. I wish that they had given more of Joe's backstory. He had a very sad childhood. And again, this isn't a spoiler because this isn't even in the movie, it's in the book. His mom passed away when he was little, and his dad remarried, and his stepmom didn't really care for Joe. And so at a young age, he was literally left. His family packed up and moved. And he was like, "Where are we going?" And his dad was like, "Well, you're not coming with us." And they left this kid behind to survive on his own. And he just, not even a rags to riches, but a true, you put your mind to surviving, like, you are capable of so many things. I think so many of us hear stories and we're like, I could never do that. But until you're put in the position of like having to survive and fight for yourself, he just did what he had to do. The book also goes a lot more into George Peacock, I think is how you say his name, and he was the boat builder. He actually built the racing hulls for most teams in the U.S., which was really fascinating. He was kind of a sub character in the movie, but he had a lot of wisdom to offer, and he and Joe kind of built a relationship. The book dives more into Joe and Joyce's love story. Yeah, there just were parts of the book that I really enjoyed. Similar to Killers of the Flower Moon, it took me a minute to get into it. I started it on a flight on our way back from Christmas, and I was kind of like, oh, this is boring. And then once you get just kind of past like the intro of here's who is who, I was like, I can't put this down. I gotta know what happens next. This is so good.
So in the movie, it focuses on Joe going to college at Washington. He doesn't really have a whole lot of money, and he's trying to find a way to pay for his semester because they're telling him if you can't pay, you're going to have to get kicked out. And that's why he joins the team, because
There's a small stipend.
yeah, you get a little bit of money for joining the team, but it's a very, very competitive team because it's just a crazy sport. And watching this movie, I was just thinking about the physical aspect of rowing and how much of a toll that takes on your body and how much physical upper strength goes into rowing.
And your lung capacity.
All of that.
It's like, I feel like you have to have the lung capacity of a swimmer,
Mm-hmm.
the upper body of anyone doing like strength.
Yeah. Like a bodybuilder.
Exactly. And then just the ability to put those together. Because when you're in those boats that they were rowing then, like you were just one single file, one after the other. You can't see the other people because your backs are to them. I'm in awe of you have to like become one. And that's what the book talks about a lot, is like how they struggled to get their strokes in sync and just really become one unit instead of 8 people on a boat trying to make it move.
And I thought of it from a perspective of I run. And that is a thing that you have to have basically good breathing and just stamina. And I feel like from running, it's kind of benefited all other aspects of my physical health of just not getting tired and having energy. And I think of it, if I were to take what I have now and the stamina I built up and try to do rowing, I don't think I could do it because it's just so much of that upper body strength that I feel like me being able to breathe well and to withstand long distances would have no effect on it.
I wouldn't even try to row.
I do it a little bit at the gym, just the row machine, like that takes a lot out of you. So I feel like that aspect of it was cool for me to see of how demanding the sport is. For the overall movie, I thought the tone of it was pretty good. It's from director George Clooney. I love the trend of big time actors or even up and coming actors or just well established actors being directors because I feel like they can have a better relationship with the actors. They know what it's like to be behind the camera and they have an interesting perspective on how to get certain performances out of actors, which is the main job of a director, to get what you need out of your actors and to create this story that you have envisioned in your mind. And I thought he did a really great job at creating a very inspirational drama, which kind of felt like a 2000 drama, which sports dramas then were like really, really popular. And this movie kind of reminded me of a movie that you would watch in school to learn about history, which
Yeah,
I don't
that's a good
know.
point.
I don't know if they still watch movies in school.
Oh man, when that TV was
Oh,
rolled
yeah.
into the classroom.
When they roll that thing in, we're going to watch a movie today. It was always like October Sky or Remember the Titans.
Yes.
Those were the best days.
Wow, on that cart with the VCR.
And the
Player.
VHS tape.
VHS, thank you. Wow, those were some good days. Take me back.
And after watching this movie, I thought I could see this being shown in classrooms across America to inspire kids. And I like that aspect of it because it felt inspirational without feeling cheesy, which sometimes sports dramas are like that. They kind of all have the same formula of, oh, here's this ragtag group of individuals who can't win a single competition, but they're going to go on to win it all. And it has a big cheesy montage and all those things. It didn't really have that. It had real life emotion. You had a love story in there. You had the main character, Joe, struggling of trying to be the best rower, but also had this emotional trauma with his dad and his family, and then the other people in the team also butting heads from here to there. There was just a lot of aspects to the movie that it never really felt forced in any way to me.
I just wish they could have put more of the struggle of the team because they do, to condense it.
Yeah.
They kind of had to make it seem like, okay, they tried, they made it, here we go. But there was a lot of like changing of members of the team and fighting for their place on the team. And again, that's just the risk when you turn a book into a movie.
Which it does have a bit of a longer runtime, but to get to all the aspects
been longer.
Yeah, that you described, I almost would have enjoyed to see it. This movie would be interesting to see of how it would have worked as a miniseries because there are so many more plot lines that you could go down. Some of the stuff I wanted to see more of, like I mentioned earlier, and the World War II connection. I feel like there could have been a lot more story overall, but I do enjoy the movie, easily digestible version of it. But yes, there could have been a lot more in here. So if there were any movie, I would have been curious to watch it as a miniseries more than a movie. It could have been this one.
And here's a little history factoid. People probably know this. But I was like, 1936 Olympics were right before World War II. So did they not have them in 1940? Because don't really know how we can all come together to celebrate athletes when we're all fighting each other. They did not have the Olympics in 1940 due to World War II. So if you didn't know, now you do.
Another connection that this movie has with the movie we mentioned earlier was the things going down in the Iron Claw that keeps Jeremy Allen White's character from competing in the Olympics, where the U.S. pulled out of it.
Yes, that was during the Cold War.
So it's kind of interesting to go back and, I don't know, have the Olympics as
Historical marker.
of like, this is the state of the world. It is weird to think about the entire world coming together to compete when we're all just really fighting at any given time. So overall, for The Boys in the Boat, what would you rate it?
4 out of 5 oars.
Oh, I thought you would go a little bit higher.
I think I gave the book 4.5 or 4.75, so I need to be fair in that I thought the movie was a little subpar compared to the book. Great movie, but I like the book better.
I enjoyed it a lot more than I was expecting to. I give it as well a strong 4 out of 5 college tuitions. Come back and talk about Roadhouse with Jake Gyllenhaal.